Welcome back. You're still watching the Business Morning, and we now head to the first conversation for today. Food insecurity remains one of the biggest challenges facing developing nations like Nigeria, where millions still lack consistent access to nutritious and affordable meals. The problem isn't just about food availability, it's also about efficiency, how we produce, preserve, and distribute what we grow. Across the world, food science and innovation are transforming how countries tackle these issues, from fortified meals and sustainable packaging to shelf-stable products and improved storage technologies. Innovation is helping to reduce waste, extend shelf life, and make nutrition more accessible. Here in Nigeria, entrepreneurs and food manufacturers are beginning to apply science-driven approach to meet both local and institutional needs. One such example is Fortifood, a local company developing shelf-stable, ready-to-eat meals designed for schools, hospitals, and humanitarian use, demonstrating how innovation can bridge the gap between nutrition and accessibility. Now, this morning, we take a closer look at how food science and innovation can help Nigeria tackle hunger and improve efficiency across its food value chain. And joining us to have this conversation is Adenike Adekule. She's the founder and CEO of Fortifood. Good morning, Adenike. It's good to have you on Business Morning.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. And thank you so much for coming. Now, let's go straight into the context. What do you think? Let's start with the insecurity when it comes to food in Nigeria, and how do you think we can tackle this, inefficiencies in our food system?
Nigeria at the moment is facing a serious food security challenge, and it's something that can no longer be downplayed. Currently, this year, over 30 million people are struggling with acute hunger, and the Northeast remains the hardest to hit. Conflict has displaced families, farmlands, and entire communities are cut off from stable food access. And on top of that, Nigeria now faces repeated floods and drought. So farmlands in one season, they're destroyed due to the floods, and then in the next, because of the drought. It's becoming much harder for farmers, to recover and to plan ahead. And adding to that is like the rising cost of inflation, policy changes, like, the removal of fuel subsidies, which has driven up the cost of food and transportation. And then the disbanding of like development programs, for example, the USAID, has also created a real funding gap. Many nutritional programs and feeding programs have had to shut down because there simply isn't enough support coming in. So really and truly, the truth is like Nigeria can no longer outsource its food security. We have to take ownership. We have to build local capacity and feed our people ourselves. So yeah.
All right, now we understand that globally food science has actually revolutionized. So what innovation do you think Nigeria can actually adopt to enable us, address the Nigeria's food challenges?
Food science and technology has given us incredible tools that make our food safer, last longer, and reach more people. For Nigeria, one of the key things is food fortification. It allows us to make even the most basic of meals nutritionally complete. For a country where people don't generally have access to 3 meals a day, it's very important that the meals that they do get is able to actually give them the nutrition that they need to thrive. Biofortification is also another one that holds a lot of promise, where local crops like our maize, our cassava, are naturally enriched with vitamins and minerals. When people hear, oh, biofortification, they think that, you're adding stuff to it, but they're actually natural ways for us to enhance the nutritional quality in terms of like our farming processes and how we go about, yielding our harvest. And then there's retort process technology, which we use at Forty Foods, and that allows fully cooked meals to be sealed and stored safely for a year up without refrigeration. These aren't like futuristic ideas. These are things that are already thriving in the West, and other countries are using these methods. And they're proven technologies that can help us to reduce waste, improve nutrition, and bring stability to our food systems.
Well, let's look at areas with limited infrastructure. How do you think what you mentioned now, science and technology can actually, improve shelf life and also food safety? Because really, if you can store my food for 1 year, how safe is that?
So it's very safe.
Yeah.
The balance basically starts with the design. How do you go about making the food? Every innovation that we use makes it, keep the food nutritious and also accessibility at the center of it. And efficiency doesn't mean that we're compromising on the quality, that we're using ultra processing methods it just means that we're trying to do more with what we have. So using things like fortified ingredients, using things, monitoring nutrient retention. So there's a lot of tests that you can do to actually measure, how you retaining the moisture and nutrients within your food. Naturally, Africans, when we cook, we tend to overcook a lot of our meals. And in that process, we lose a lot of the real nutrients within the foods as well. So really using the different sort of like technology and methods out there are ways for us to actually improve how we innovate with our food.
All right, now let's look at local solutions now. Let's address some food access for people in remote areas. Now, local ventures like yourself, Forty Foods, trying to address shelf-stable and ready-to-eat meal. How significant is this innovation? Especially to those in the remote area. How is this helping?
I think innovation like what we do at 40 Food plays a very important role in bridging the gap. When we think about things like last mile delivery, how do we give food to people that are in displaced communities, that are cut off due to like floods, etc. Historically, the idea would be we would need to move a ton of raw materials from point A to point B, which can take days. And then we lose so much of the fresh produce, for example, and trying to move the items back and forth, it's very time consuming, it's not effective. And really, when you think about feeding people, especially in crisis situation, it's all about access, safety, and speed. So shelf-stable meals and ready-to-eat meals remove many of the barriers. So there's no need for you to set up kitchens. There's no need for like things like electricity or even potable water. So sometimes you can reheat some of these meals due to the packaging. They don't get contaminated with outside water. So you can use whatever water you have access to heat the meals, and then it's still safe to eat. So it's making it easier for like institutions, like our government agencies, our relief agencies, to be able to respond quickly and effectively, especially in some of these crisis situations.
All right, talking about crisis, let's look at we know that post-harvest loss are a major issue in Nigeria. So how can food science help to minimize waste from production up to distribution?
We lose like an alarming amount of food every year due to post-harvest losses, sometimes up to half of what is produced, especially fruits and vegetables. Food technology can help to turn this around. Processing is one method, packaging is one method. These are ways that we can actually preserve produce closer to where it's grown, not necessarily saying we need to move it from one extreme of the country to another side to then sort of go and package it there. That's not effective. So I think that decentralized production hubs, packaging hubs will start to come into play as well. And sometimes, so food science can help us to turn that around. By processing and preserving, we're able to, through methods like drying, canning, thermal processing, we're able to sort of extend the shelf life and cut the waste drastically.
All right. So, are you sure this innovation is not getting in the way of preservation and also the nutritional efficiency when it comes to this food?
No, actually it doesn't. So there are different methods that you can use to preserve food. Drying is very common here in Nigeria. You have dried fruits, you have dried mangoes, you have dried meat, etc. Yes, of course, some, I think they can use like salt, etc., but they're actually very safe methods to use for processing as well that don't actually, affect the quality of the meals and don't take away from the nutritional value of them as well. So I think it's more about investing in the right technology, investing in the knowledge as well. So understanding what people are doing in different parts of the world and then bringing that innovation here and localizing it.
So why we've not seen the governments collaborate when it comes to things like this? It's more of like entrepreneurs yourself who actually come up with this innovation. So do you think you need necessary collaboration from the governments to ensure sustainability in this line of business?
We definitely need collaboration from the government and especially the regulatory bodies. I think that it's important that they keep up with the trends in the market when it comes to food technology and innovation because, they need to almost create policies that reward innovation rather than stifling it. Because what you find a lot of the time is when you come up with new innovation, there's a lot of resistance, especially from the regulatory point of view. Like there's a lot of resistance, there's a lack, you see there's a knowledge gap. They don't even know what's happening in the world. So I think that, they collaborate to reward the innovation, make it easier to be able to navigate some of the regulatory hurdles as well. And, fast track approvals for nutritious products as well, and prioritizing local manufacturing and procurement. I think that a lot of the time they would then, like government bodies sometimes would prefer to import. Like, let's really just prioritize local manufacturing and then, empower those people to do more of what they're already trying to do.
And let's take it down to Nigeria. So that's the consumer perspective. Yes, I know that's the part you've been waiting for. Nigerians, most especially, do not trust scientifically processed food. It's like we're still trying to make them understand that for a food to pass as being good and nutritious, it doesn't necessarily have to be freshly made. So how do you think you can build that public trust for people to understand that, you need to have confidence in this scientifically produced or stored products?
I wouldn't even say they're scientifically produced, right? We just use common, it's like science, the knowledge base is science, right? But then the technology is what makes it easier. So there's a big level of skepticism as we've tried, on social media, we've tried to, show people what we're trying to do. And we get a lot of buzz around, oh, how do you keep food for 12 months? You don't put it in the fridge. You don't
that was my first reaction.
And I can understand that because people want to trust what they're eating, and we're becoming a lot more health conscious as well. But I think that building that trust comes down to transparency and communication and familiarity as well. And I think that if you can communicate what you're doing properly to people, so this has a lot to do with the clear labeling and visible certifications and honest communication. So really trying to just educate people that, you can actually process food in your own homes as well. You have a lot of people, they will blend their peppers, they'll put it in a jar, put some oil in it, and it extends the shelf life. That's a form of processing. So, but then they don't understand it when it gets to a scale, right? When you scale that processing method, because when you do it in your home, you still feel like, oh, I can preserve it for a couple of days, or a couple of weeks or whatever. But then what basically we do is that we're just scaling that at sort of a bigger level.
Okay. We've been speaking about funding when it comes to entrepreneurs, especially women. Now, do you think there should be enough policy, or do we have enough policy when it comes to the food tech part, of business? And if not, what do you think should change?
I think we're making progress, but not nearly enough. And, I think that the funding landscape, especially when it comes to food innovation, is not as strong compared to technology. And I always say we can't eat technology, we cannot eat tech. But food technology is also a player in the industry. And of course, I went through an accelerator program with Antler. They're funding agnostic, and they actually believed in my venture enough to be able to invest in it. And I think that, if we have more companies and, funding bodies that are willing to actually look into that space and put more funding into it, it's going to help to really grow it drastically. Because, and then we also have the special agro-industrial processing zones as well, which are already, starting to move in the right direction. But definitely we struggle to get the capital, the R&D support. The regulatory support, I think, is the biggest one. So we need more policies to show that food innovation is part of the national infrastructure. So yeah.
All right, let's I'm wrapping up now. Let's look at the future of food. So what emerging technologies do you think can help, from food fortification to smart packaging? And what do you think can actually, reshape the approach, Africa's approach, especially Nigerians' approach towards nutrition and food storage?
I think that, the future of food in Africa, people are sort of missing it a little bit, because food is culture, and culture is one of our biggest currencies. And I think that, as things progress, we're definitely going to see more breakthroughs in fortification, smart packaging, and even AI-led nutrition planning as well, that can help governments, institutions to make data-driven feeding sort of initiatives as well. So I think if we can marry science, technology, culture, food together, then that actually helps us to be able to not only feed our own people, but be able to export that culture all over the world as well.
So do you do like, you said you try to educate people. Do you like show real life videos on how you do these things and also teach people how they can actually like do it in their homes, not necessarily having to like get it on a big scale?
Yeah, I think we're definitely looking at doing more of that. So we're going to be doing more of that through our social media, where we're just educating people in not just our own product, but even how to process at home as well. How you can actually extend the shelf life of some of your food at home, etc. And I always tell people one thing. What is the single factor that causes your food to go bad? It's oxygen and bacteria.
Right.
If you can remove those two things, you can actually
Have your food for
extend
12
this.
months.
Well,
Oh my
maybe not
God.
at home,
Okay.
but you would definitely be able to extend the shelf life of some of your fresh produce. It's like when you buy your vegetables, if you wash it, dry it, and then keep it in a tight glass cover bowl or whatever, that can actually extend the shelf life as well. So I think that more and more people just need to start to research, do their homework as well, and learn a little bit more about how to, preserve their foods naturally.
All right. Thank you so much, Adeni Care Adekunle. She's the founder, CEO, 40 Foods. It's really good to have you on the Business Morning.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, still to come after the break, bridging the gap between technology and profitability in Nigeria's retail sector. Just stay with us. Welcome back. You're still watching Business Morning. Now let's move to the second conversation for today. Technology has transformed nearly every aspect of how we live and do business, and Nigeria's retail sector is no exception. From automated payment systems to digital inventory tracking and online customer engagement, tech has opened doors for retailers to reach more consumers, streamline operations, and improve efficiency. Yet, for many businesses, there's still a missing link between adopting technology and achieving measurable profitability. Some retailers have invested heavily in digital tools but struggle to see real financial returns. Others are hesitant to embrace innovation, unsure if the cost and complexity will truly pay off. So, where exactly is the gap between technology and profit in retail, and how can Nigerian businesses close it? Joining us to explore this is Christopher Udoka. He's a business data analyst and entrepreneur, passionate about using data and technology to drive business growth. He's also the founder of Gadget 75 Hub and Taxful 75 a sourcing venture. Good morning, Christopher. It's good to have you on the Business Morning Show.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for having me.
All right, so let's now go straight into it. Let's look at setting the pace. So, how would you describe the current state of technology adoption in the Nigerian retail sector? And do you think businesses are truly embracing digital transformation, or is it still on the surface level?
Well, thank you. Well, I would describe the the current state of technology adoption in Nigeria. I would describe it as it's still we still have a very long way to go. Of course, we have Nigeria retail sector is we are in the digital awareness phase, but not digitally mature yet. Of course, we've seen strong growth in tech adoption, especially in broadband penetration, which is about 45.6%, and active internet subscription have risen to over 160 million. That's according to the NCC. That means digital access is no longer the main barrier. However, most retailers are still using technology for visibility and not strategy. You will see POS systems, WhatsApp orders, and even Instagram pages, but very few businesses connect these tools to their sales data or customer insights. The tools exist, but the transformation hasn't fully happened yet. For instance, if if you're in Ikeja, Lagos, where several SMEs are in operation, you see daily sales on POS. But these daily sales, they don't analyze which product line drives repeat purchases. For example, which product is moving the market most, or which product is actually moving most. So we are using technology to look modern, but we are not using it to make smart decisions. And I think that is where we are still trying to to go into next. So that's where I think we are, and I think that is the next step that we need to take.
Okay, now let's take a look at the profitability puzzle. We understand that despite growing tech adoption, many retailers are still struggling to see consistent profit. So in your view, what do you think is causing that disconnect?
I think because technology alone doesn't create profits. I think the most important thing that does create profit is strategy. So many businesses adopt tools because competitors are using them, not because of they've identified a particular problem that they are trying to solve. So if you look at the NBS report between 2020 and 2022, you are going to notice that there has been a 45% decline. In 2020, for example, the NBS reported that we had over 246,000 SMEs. And in 2022, there was a decline to 170,000 small and medium enterprises. And the disconnect happens when digital tools aren't tied to clear goals like cutting waste, improving margins, or even optimizing business retention. I beg your pardon. So, for example, if you look at a small retailer that probably deals with sells like gadgets and all those and the likes, you notice that they adopt online advertising and increase traffic. But if they do not track which ads convert to real sales, they are only spending, they are not growing. So I think retailers have to focus on strategy. So I think that has been the puzzle between profit and those that fall on the wayside.
All right. Do you think there's a problem that businesses, or do you think the problem is the fact that businesses have the tools, but they lack the strategy to actually use them efficiently? And what do you think are the most common mistakes that you see these retailers making in this area?
Okay, I think most retailers do not adopt very clear strategies. The problem has always been strategy. Of course, you see so many digital tools. There are so many digital tools out there that actually helps businesses, that can help businesses grow. But if they do not adopt the right strategy, then the businesses will not grow effectively. So if okay, let me give an example. I once worked with a retail chain that had 10 outlets using different sales systems. By merging their POS and inventory data into one dashboard, they identified slow moving products. And then this slow moving product helps them to, to close the leakages that was happening. Because you will notice that they were spending more on the slow moving product, on advertising and the likes. They were spending more on those slow moving products and it was not yielding returns. And then the ones that are moving fast, they were not spending they were not spending so much on 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 advertising. So I advise them that this is the data, this is your slow moving product, this is the high moving product. So let's spend more on this and lower on this. And then when they did, they discovered that the business actually upskilled. So I think the problem has always been clear strategy. Businesses in Nigeria do not have clear strategy to actually move from point A to point B, and that has been the major issue.
So let's now take a look at the data factor. As a data analyst, how do you think data analytics specifically help retailers identify what's working and what's not, and where the profit leaks are? Because that's like one of the problems that this retailer actually come up with.
You see, one of the problems, especially in Nigeria, with data analytics and data analysis as a whole, is getting reliable data. We have we do not have reliable data in Nigeria for political and sometimes selfish reasons. So data analysis or data analytics turns as a whole turns everyday transaction into business intelligence. That's the essence of business data analytics. So I feel that retailers can see which products sell faster, which days drive the most revenue, and which stores or staff are underperforming. So, for example, July of 2024, Nigeria POS transactions recorded over 1 trillion naira of POS transactions in July 2024. That's like less sign that retail data is abundant, but few use it to understand why customers buy or where they lose money. So when you visualize this sales data and the expenses, even with a simple tool, analytical tool like Excel or even Power BI, you can start to see the leakages. For example, one gadget store realized they lost profit on accessories because of high delivery cost from one supplier. So changing the supplier alone could improve their margin by maybe as much as 10 to 12%. So everyday sales tells a story, but data analytics helps you listen to it. So that's where data analysis comes in to help retailers upscale.
The technology isn't just about front end sales, it's also about operations. So, how do you think digital systems
Yes.
can improve things like inventory control, supply management, and even down to logistics?
I feel most profit isn't lost at the sales counter. It's not lost. It's lost behind the scenes. Inventories that sit for too long, poor restocking, and even unreliable suppliers quickly drain this cash. So digital system can automatically tax stock levels, predict demand, and even flag when supplies delay delivery. This time and also prevent overpurchasing. Doesn't only come from selling more, it comes from losing less. So that's where I think digital system improve inventory, supply demand, and even logistics.
All right, a lot of these retailers actually use imported tech solutions that may not fit Nigeria's reality. So, how important do you think it is to develop or adapt local solutions for real-time profitability?
Of course, we need local solutions because if you go around, most SMEs they use foreign business tools, and because imported system often don't understand our local challenges. For instance, many international POS systems rely on constant internet, but Nigeria still has network gaps. A local startup and offline first POS that syncs when back online. Perfect for cities like if you go to cities like Makodi or you go to cities like Aba. Local solutions understand local buying habits, payment preferences, and of course, logistics constraint. So making them much more profitable long term. So in fact, QRL and USSD payments now account for roughly 20% of digital transactions for small retailers, all thanks to local fintechs integration. So when technology understands the terrain, profitability becomes very natural. Thank you.
So, how do you think technology can enhance customer retention and loyalty? How does that tie directly to the increased revenue?
So technology helps businesses remember customers. With data, you can identify repeated buyers, personalize offers, and even predict what they want next. So customer retention is cheaper than acquisition. So if if one retailer buys probably 5% of a particular product in a month, and in another month he buys 10%, in another month he buys 15%, you know that okay, that this customer, this is a particular product that he relies heavily upon, or that his businesses rely heavily upon. So you know that, okay, this is the product that the customer would want. So you order more of that product. That way, probably next time the customer is wants that product, you can actually give the customer probably a discount, 5% discount would count for repeated buyers within a month. And you notice that repeated purchase could even grow to as much as 18, 20%. So in today's retail, loyalty is built on memory and data helps you remember. Thank you.
All right. So what do you think are the biggest obstacles these Nigerian retailers face when they are trying to turn technology investment into profit? Do you think it's cost, the technical skill, or their mindset?
I think all three matter, but mindset is what I feel, in my opinion, stand out. Because many owners still see technology as an expense instead of an enabler. They fail to adopt or they fail to want to adopt technology into their businesses. So the truth is that over 50% of Nigerian SMEs already use fintech tools for basic banking and cash flow management. Yet, many only scratch the surface. They don't explore analytical or automation tools because they assume it's complex. Once the mindset shifts, people find creative, affordable ways to use tech more effectively. So, for example, a buyer owner, I mean, a boutique owner, I beg your pardon, in Yaba would still rely on paper ledger. When that customer, when that business owner moves to Excel, the person will discover that there are profit margin, and this awareness to change how she price and restocks. So technology isn't expensive. I would add, technology is not expensive. It is ignorance that is. So that is what I feel is still or are still the biggest obstacles in Nigeria's retail sector.
Attention business leaders. Want to make informed decisions? Join the ranks of the best with Premium Business Day. Access in-depth analysis and expert opinions to stay ahead. Subscribe now at premium.businessday.ng and unlock premium content. Plus, you get 50% off your first subscription. Don't miss out. Make smarter choices and seize new opportunities. Sign up now and elevate your business game. Visit premium.businessday.ng today.
You're still watching the Business Morning, and we still have Mr. Christopher right here on the show. So, Mr. Christopher, what's new or emerging technologies, and I'm talking about AI, automation, or data-driven personalization, do you think will shape the next phase of retail growth in Nigeria?
Well, I think our AI automation and even predictive analytics would lead the next phase, because they aren't just futuristics. They aren't just futuristic. They are here already. So I do not want to mention names because of obvious reasons. But imagine a small retailer getting a daily alert that says that product X will sell out in 3 days. Reorder now. That's AI simplifying decision making. So the business owner already knows that this product will sell out in 3 days and that it should restock now. So instead of when it gets to that day and then the business owner starts checking his or her inventory to see that when that we do not have this product again, and then they will start scrambling all around when customers are demanding for the product. So there are so many AI products, even chatbots now on WhatsApp. WhatsApp now use chatbots on WhatsApp sales and even AI tools to recommend products based on purchase history, and these things helps businesses. And there are so many emerging technologies. Of course, if anybody needs some emerging technologies, they can always, of course, reach out. So there are so many emerging AI automation and even predictive analytics tools. So, for example, with about 5.9 million active POS terminals in Nigeria presently, that's the report. There's massive potentials for personalized customer engagement and even micro loyalty programs. So the future of retail isn't reactive, it is predictive. And we have those tools here already. It is just the adoption and the strategy that is lacking. Thank you.
For retail business owners watching this now, what do you think is one or two actionable steps that they can take today to make technology truly work for their bottom line?
First, start tracking your data consistently. You need to start tracking your data consistently, even if it's just sales, expenses, even inventory. Just start tracking it. On Excel, you can start with Excel. You start tracking it. You just can't improve when you don't measure it. You need to first track it, then you measure it, then you can see where improvement. And then the second thing is that you need to connect your systems. Let your POS, your WhatsApp order, your stock record talk to each other. You need to connect them. That small step gives you real control. You don't need complex tools. You just need organization. So I could give an example. An example is a phone dealer tracking daily sales by category, for example, realized that accessories made up 40% of his profits. So that's an example. That insight helps him stock smarter and even grow faster. So you don't need big data to start. You just need clean data. So you need to first start tracking your data consistently. And then second, you need to connect your systems. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for the insights on Business Morning Show, Christopher Udoka. He's a business data analyst and entrepreneur. It's really good to have you on the show.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Very good to have you.
And that's been our focus today on Business Morning, using food science and innovation to tackle hunger and efficiency, and also bridging the gap between technology and profitability in Nigeria's retail sector. And that's the much we can take on the Business Morning segment today. I am Deborah Eze. Thank you for watching, and do stay with us as the breakfast show continues with the big story after this break.